My name is Tom Roberts. I'm in my upper 60s in terms of age. I'm a documentary filmmaker, largely all of those films in the Middle East, Iraq area, although I've filmed in Palestine, I've filmed Afghanistan, Russia back in the days of the communists, Latin America, all over the world. And at this point in my life, I'm thinking very much about where the world is going, not where the world came from. And I worry that people just don't really comprehend. They don't really understand what is happening. We've all had the experience of the coronavirus and how the world has been shaken by it. Lives have been changed. Virtually every life on the planet has been altered in some respect by this virus. And yet it's a tiny little thing. And not many people are dying from it in comparison to other illnesses, malaria, measles, polio in the past, smallpox. But still, nevertheless, it's a pretty ugly thing. My fear is that people don't realize that much, much worse is coming. We've had fires that have devastated Australia. We have fires that are ripping through Argentina. There are fires in the Amazon. We have massive floods. Floods like we've never seen before. We have droughts that are enormously long and deadly droughts in lots of places in the world. We have extremely high temperatures. We have hurricanes which are more ferocious than they've ever been before. And it's only just beginning. We're going to have more fires, more floods, more droughts, more destruction of the environment. People call it climate change. That's not accurate. It's called climate damage. We are damaging the world we live in, and we're damaging it so badly and so severely, many times worse than the coronavirus. So it appears like a message of doom. It appears like it's a time that we should all be fearful and so forth. Not the least. We have the science, we have the knowledge, we know what we need to do. All we have to do is do it. It's actually incredibly simple. If you talk to the scientists, the experts and so forth, they'll tell you what we need to do. Now, it requires change. We have to change the way we live. We have to change how we move around, how we go to work. We have to change how we live in what houses, how we use energy. We have to change lots of things. But if we make those changes, the future is much, much brighter than it's going to be if we don't make those changes. And given the time of life I've reached, older guy, getting near the end of his career, maybe at the end of his career, I want to do something that hopefully will have an impact on my children's lives, on their children, and on their children, my great-grandchildren.
Unfortunately, there are just too few of these places left in the world. We're just destroying the world. We're wiping out wildlife. We're wiping out nature, natural places. Not only does it give us solace, then we feel better if we walk in this place and you feel relaxed and it lifts your spirit. Not only does it do things for us in terms of our spirit, but the food chain, agriculture, the seas, all the rest of it depend upon an interplay of plants and oxygen and insects, and we're destroying it, we're killing it all, we're wiping it out. And we're effectively killing the world for our grandchildren or great-grandchildren. And if we don't do something, if we don't stop what we're doing and change the way we are living, then future generations may not even survive. And if they do survive, the conditions they'll live in, the heat that they'll experience, the food shortages, the violence of conflict between societies, between people who are desperate for even to survive, the floods that will take place, the fires that will hit. It'd just be overwhelming.
And what do you do about it? Why are you here today?
Well, I'm a trustee of a wildlife trust. The UK has 47 local trusts, and they buy land or acquire land, and they preserve it and they protect it. And there are all kinds of threats. I mean, there are diseases that come from abroad. There are what are called invasive plants, Japanese knotweed, for example, Himalayan balsam. These are plants that just come in and they just take over everything and destroy everything else, right? So it's not just human activity directly, but what we do is we bring those plants in and we alter the reality of what's taken many millions of years to develop and grow in just a few years, few decades at most. So the trust fight to keep the natural place natural, it's not easy. You have to manage it, and hopefully they'll win people over, they'll gather more money, they'll buy more land, we'll have more natural places, and we can secure the future of humanity. You know, people ask, why should we bother, or why should we care? And initially it seems like a simple question and maybe a difficult one to answer, but it's quite easy to answer. So why should we care if our children grow up healthy? Why should we care if criminals run through the streets? Why should we care if houses are burned down or people's lives are ruined? Why should we care? Right? Well, this is our world. This is our neighbors. These are our world, really. And if we don't care about this, what the hell? And people who say, I don't care about, you know, well, I think, well, frankly, I don't really care much about you either. You're a I don't know, what would you say, dead weight on the planet. But frankly, an awful lot of people do. Thousands, millions of people care because they know the value. They know what they can get from a place like this. Can enrich you, and this can give you solace and give you a sense of wonder. I've lived in London 40 years, and I've always been interested in the wild world. And I had an opportunity to buy this place, 9 acres, big farmhouse, and it was a sheep farm. So where we're standing was a big fence, a gate, and it was like grass out there, right? So how do you convert it to something that's natural? Well, you can't just do it and let it happen nature, because humans have already ruined the landscape. So what will grow there isn't really natural. You have to help it a little bit. So we took the gate out, took the fences out. We planted wildflowers in here. You can see wildflowers here. And over here, for example, we're bringing hedgehogs, little mammals. The British love them. And we have this hedgehog house, right? I jokingly say it's like a hat, but in reality, it's where they spend the winter. So you put leaves in here, and you put it on the ground, a hedgehog goes in, spends the winter there, protected.
is that where you're going to live? You said to me yesterday. And do you think, the coronavirus thing and all that changed your prospect? How do you say, to the world? Is that how you're going to live?
Well, the interesting thing about coronavirus is there are a small number of winners and a whole lot of losers. Companies that, for example, sell hand sanitizer making a fortune, right? Companies that fly people around the world are going bankrupt. Travel companies, and so forth. But some people have done really well, small number. And I can say I'm one of those people who've done really well out of coronavirus in a curious way. Before lockdown, we knew the lockdown was coming, so I come here all the time. I live here probably 30-40% of the time here. And we came here with my family and we got locked down here. Well, I kept saying to my friends, anytime the UK government wants to lock me down in my place in Wales, go right ahead. I'm very happy. So I've been here 4 months and not been off it for a day. And what it means is that I've decided now to move my residence out of London, move from London and live here permanently. So also part of what we're doing, we're trying to bring wildlife back. So we're a lot of these plants, all these plants produce nectar. And so if you were able to see close up, you'll see thousands of insects. Sometimes I walk by here, particularly on a sunny day, and there's buzzing, zzz, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bees. So we're creating places where wildlife can feed. We're bringing hedgehogs in. We're creating the conditions for, and when they run free, they're
peeled up and peeled off, and yeah, so she was 10% chance of survival. She had 3 slashes. By the time she came in, it was so badly infected, she even had maggots under there. So she had to literally, under sedation, it took Fion up at Priory Vets, it must have been about an hour, and then it was 10%. And that was, oh my gosh, that was about 2-3 weeks ago, and it's been healing really well. So we're really pleased with how it's healed, but whether she'll get spine growth there, we're not sure. So, but she did what she thought was best: curl up into a ball, and hopefully the strimmer will go away. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, and their spines are no defence against a strimmer. So, garden injuries is probably
across the top of her head too.
Yeah, she was literally slashed. She was in a very sorry state, but no, she's doing really well. We are pleased with her recovery, and even though there is a patch there, if it doesn't come back with spine, she's got really no defence. So we will have to discuss her release and how that goes and what's best. I won't get him out because he's got quite a severe injury. It's quite nasty. We're not quite sure if he's going to lose his leg. It's that bad. So he's in there. So yeah, this is Norbit. And
so tell us how many hogs you have here.
Oh, crumbs. Right, okay, I might have to count because I'm losing count because they're coming in. I know we've got about 15 out with Foster at the moment. So we have got Faith up there. She was another one come in, strimmed foot. So she's in with us. Emily, this little love, I can show you. Emily is the naughtiest hedgehog. She's the one keeps taking her cast off. So we got Emily. The little love down the bottom isn't there. He's actually currently at the vet's having x-rays. So he was an RTA. Not quite sure how well he's going to do. He's he's a bit old. So he's probably about 4 weeks old, I would imagine. He's still got quite a baby face, but he's got his teeth through, and they get their teeth through, sort of their first lot of teeth through around 3 weeks. And he's having a good go at eating by himself. He's quite light still. He's only 150 grams, but we know that he had been left in this bag for about 3 days. He was found, and they hoped Mum was going to come back, and they didn't. So then they contacted us, and that's when we said, no, he's been on his own for so long. So he was a bit cold and a bit dehydrated, but he's coming on nicely. But no, hoglets, it's hoglet time, so a lot of them. Janie, my volunteer, is inundated with hoglets, so I say she has got about 11 hoglets with her at the moment. And I've also had a phone call from her way, so she might be taking another one in. So where we can, if it's a single orphan, we sometimes pair them up with another, and then they can sort of learn off each other. But because Jack's only recently come in, he's still on sort of isolation. We just want to make sure he hasn't got any parasites, he hasn't got any ill health that he's going to pass on to anybody else, and vice versa. And once we're happy that he's eating and he's fine, then we can pair him with somebody. But Poppy down there, we tried to pair her with somebody and it didn't go too well. She tried to pull their spines out. She's a bit of a madam, she's been.
Yeah. Regards to Gary.
Yeah, I will do. I'm going to find him.
So tell me, Tom, why all this hustle? You came all the way, you know.
The what?
Why this all this hustle? You came all the way, 2 hours away. I don't know, 1 hour away to do this for hedgehogs. What do you believe in?
Well, very simply, the hedgehog is the favorite wild animal of the English people, British people, and it's been in severe decline. There used to be 30 years ago, everybody would have one in their backyard or in a field or whatever. And now the number of hedgehogs is just dropping, just like that, right? All kinds of reasons, simple reasons. People put thick, heavy fences around their garden. Hedgehog can't get through. Hedgehogs can walk up to 2 kilometers in an evening looking for food. Well, if they get into a garden and can't get out, they can't feed themselves. Modern, as she was talking about, modern equipment where you have a strimmer that cuts the grass, or they now have lawnmowers that automatically cut at night. They run over hedgehogs and kill them. And then there's the decline of the whole space. There's decline of wild places, decline of natural habitats, and these animals are disappearing. And so if we don't do something, it'll be gone. And think about it, if you said to people 50 years ago there'd be no hedgehogs in the English countryside, they go, you're crazy. Well, that's the way we're headed if we don't stop it, if we don't do something about it. So I'm going to do what I can, and many other people are doing what they can. That's the point. I didn't realize we were doing this.
They're twins?
No, one is a male and female. The female is very young, and the male is a little older, bigger. And with a bit of luck, one day they may make some hedgehog babies. We should get them in the back of
gray little bear and a white little bear and a gray little thing. Rows of blue. And you see the top of the sycamore seat? Well, something came along and stripped all the bugs. You see the bark and stuff. They stripped all the bark. It's not enough to kill the tree, and it damages it. So, what could it do? I don't think it could do it. No, beavers stay with trees, the pine trees, the birches, and aspens. So what will it do now? And all the strips are all down there. Yeah. So, look at the radars and meters or meal or something. And of course these are healthy. Not green, just there.
So some of the land is owned by Natural Resources Wales, so it's owned by a government body, and part of their goal is to be a commercial forestry operation. But
Commercially, they want to sell the wood.
yeah, they want to sell the wood, but because it's government owned, they also have other priorities. So there's public access, and generally they're not the big players in the forestry world, whereas a lot of the other sites that we work in around here are privately owned, and quite a lot of them will be owned by private individuals but managed by a company. So this one is managed by Till Hill.
So these are relatively rich people.
Yeah, so
who own all this land.
yes,
and they
but
say to the
all
company,
of
plant it for trees and then sell the trees and I make money.
yeah. But there's quite a lot of areas around here managed by Till Hill. They won't all be owned by the same person, but they are all using Till Hill. I don't quite know how the finances work, but so yeah, Till Hill are a good company. I mean, all of the companies around here, PRS, Till Hill, they're all really good at working with us in terms of the red squirrel conservation.
And us is who's us?
The Mid Wales Red Squirrel Partnership.
We are. This is a lovely spot overlooking the river Teivi, which is a Welsh river that runs to the sea. Just a couple miles from here it reaches the sea. It's a tidal river in here that moves with the tide. There's otter on the river, swans, wonderful wildlife all through here. Peregrine falcons up here, it's just beautiful. And this used to be an active mining area. Wales is known for its slate, shipped around the world. Probably the best slate in the world. And this is one of the places up here. It's where they had the quarries, and they would just bring the slate down to the port and then put it on big ships and send it to Argentina or send it to China or send it to America or to London.